Okay, hello there, I'm Dennis. And in this video, we're going to install DragonFly BSD, and then we're going to install lxde desktop on it. Let me get to over here now. We'll get started. I got it set up in VirtualBox. Give it 8 gigabytes of RAM, 2 cores of my processor. I have not enabled the EFI. Turn the video memory all the way up, and I give it a 72 gig virtual hard drive. Click Start. All right, while that's starting to boot, I'm going to Control-C to get in a scaled mode here. Font much bigger. So DragonFly BSD. Okay, your first screen is going to say to start the installer, log in as installer. Or you can type in, just to get a shell prompt, type in root. All right, I'm going to hit to start the installer. First screen, install DragonFly BSD. Can configure an installed system if you had a system that was broke and you needed to get into that system, or it wasn't configured right. You can reconfigure it here. We got a live CD utility, exit to live CD, reboot, set up net boot install drive devices. All right, I'm going to click on install. Here it gives you some more information about what it's going to do. It's going to basically wipe out your hard drive. You can install manually. To do so, at this time, we could exit the live CD, log in as root, and follow the instructions given in the file README. Note, as with any installation process, you are strongly encouraged to back up any important data on this computer before proceeding. Well, we're on a fresh hard drive, so we have no data to back up. So I'm going to press enter on install DragonFly BSD. All right, we're going to go in legacy mode. And that's the correct hard drive. We're going to use the entire disk. Are we sure? Okay, so now it's formatted to virtual hard drive. I'm going to say okay. We're going to use the Hammer 2 file system, and I'll put some notes in the description there. Now, we're going to accept the defaults except for the swap space. And I'm going to give this 12288 capital M for megabytes. And that's the equivalent of 12 gigabytes of swap. So I give it 8 gigabytes of RAM. We're going to give it 1.5 times that for the swap, which would be 12 gigs. All right, so I'm going to accept it and create it. It's warning us how fast the file system can fill up, and it's giving us the actual instructions on how to keep your system clean. Okay. Begin installing the files, or return to create subpartitions. I'm going to accept what we've got already and say enter. And now the installation is on the way. And this normally doesn't take very long. Most of it depends on your computer speed at this point. All right, so I'm going to take a second here and get my mouse back. Let's go back over to the web. This is DragonFly BSD, and this is their homepage, dragonflybsd.org or org. And when it's talking about it and giving you some information about DragonFly BSD, the DragonFly BSD community is made up of users and developers that take pride in the operating system that maintains challenging goals and ideas. This community has no reservation about cutting ties with legacy when it makes sense, preferring a pragmatic, no-nonsense approach to development of the system. The community also takes pride in its openness and innovative spirit, applying patience liberally and always trying to find means to meet or exceed the performance of our competitors while maintaining our trademark algorithmic simplicity. A lot of words. Let's check on this installation. That's what I thought. Okay, it's asking us now about a boot block. And I'm going to accept the defaults, and we're going to install boot blocks because I don't have another operating system to rely on booting up. All right, boot blocks were successfully installed. We're going to configure the system now at this point. Do not make the mistake of rebooting, and we're not going to use the CMOS clock. We're going to set up our time. I'm in America. I'm going to page down one time to get me to Chicago. Hit enter. time zone has been set to America, Chicago. This is very important. Make sure your country and time zone is indicated here. All right, we're going to set the date and time. And the hour here is 08. Nope. 08. Not 308. All right, here we go. Time has been set. Now, the keyboard map, I'm not going to mess with that because it defaults to English or English US, and I'm just going to leave that as default. But if you have a different kind of keyboard, hit that, and there's 1,000 of them listed. I don't know if there's 1,000, but there's a bunch. We're going to set the root password. Do it twice. And then we're going to accept and set the password. It has been changed from nothing to the new password. All right, so we're going to create a user. For a real name, I'm just going to go with my capital D. And we're going to give it a password twice. And next one is we're going to accept the shell. Now, you could change this if you're familiar with it. Home directory is going to go into /home/Dennis. I'm going to accept the user ID as the default user ID. I'm going to accept the login group, which will create a group called Dennis. And in the other group memberships, I'm going to go ahead and put myself in the wheel group. And I'm wondering if the wheel group is more important than the operator group. But so far, the wheel group gets you started. You can add yourself to groups later. So we're going to accept and add. Dennis was added. All right, so under user, we got network interface, and right here you may have a Wi-Fi and an Ethernet or whatever your combination is in your computer. If you're on a laptop, you more than likely just have a Wi-Fi, and it'll show up here. Select yours. In this case, in this virtual box, it shows up as EM0. We'll say OK. We'll use DHCP. Now it's reaching out and trying to get an address, and it did. It says it's active at the bottom there. I'm going to say OK. Now we're going to configure our host name, and I'm going to give it a host name of DFBSD. And I'm going to accept that and say OK with no domain name. Set console font. It's good for now. Screen map is good. We're not going to remove any software, so we're going to return back to the welcome menu. Now, at this point, we can reboot the computer. I'm going to. But I'm going to get my mouse back, and we're going to do a little shuffling of the boot devices. Press any key to reboot. Now, that's expecting you to pull your USB out or eject your CD at this point. But in the virtual box, we'll go here to settings. We'll go to system, and we're going to move the hard disk up so it boots to the hard disk first and say OK. Leave the ISO in place. Sounds silly. There is a reason. All right. Back to our installation here. It's going to default to a 10-second delay. And I'll show you how to change that if you want it faster or slower even, I guess. So at this point, we're booting into our hard drive, and our base installation of DragonFly BSD is complete. So I'm going to sign in as Dennis, my user, make sure it's working. Give it my password, and all that works. Let's make sure we're online. See, make sure go. We're definitely online. Control C, Control L will clear that screen. First thing you should do always is do a update. Insufficient privileges. That's right. I did not sign in as super user. I am now. So pkg update, and this is going to sync the repositories. This is through. I'm going to up arrow and change that to upgrade. If there's any patches since the new ISO release here. Up arrow, bring that back. Magically change that word from update to upgrade. Alright, so there is one in package to be installed right now, and it's called 1.14.6, and it needs to be 1.16.3. We're going to download and install that. Okay, so you see next to the bottom down here, let me get my mouse back right here. There's a no active remote repositories configured, and it says it failed to execute this script right here. That's the reason why I left my ISO in place. If I take the ISO out and reboot without it, then for some reason this next command will fail. Let me get back over here. Here's what we're going to run right here. And let me get back into the virtual box. Control L to clear that screen. We're going to copy cp /user, tab over local, tab, etc, tab, pkg, tab, but it doesn't put the slash in there because it could go anywhere else too. pkg, package repos, and then df and tab. All right, now that's what we're going to, that's the file we're going to copy. And now we're going to copy it to /user tab, /user tab local, tab, etc, pkg, and then repos. Yep, repos. Now the df and tab. Now you backspace that sample dot off of there. We're going to copy this over. And that's did that. So now let's run that upgrade again. pkg upgrade. Oh, I knew I was spelling that wrong. See it when I was typing it. Alright, so now you can see it once it's got that new installer in there and updated to that, and then we copied over this sample file over into our basically our mirrors, our repos. Now there's 113 megs needed with 18 packages. So I hit Y and I'm gonna press enter and let this update. And it may prompt us to reboot. If it does, then we'll reboot. And at that time, we can remove that ISO. We can power off and remove that ISO. It's the strangest thing. If I don't leave the ISO and take it out like I normally would, this copy process fails. But if I leave the ISO in there, it works. You might try it different ways and see what works for you. I just know when I took that ISO out of there, this failed twice. And I put ISO and left it in there, and this worked. Gun shy to remove the ISO. And we're still downloading 19 of 22 packages. As soon as it starts installing them, it'll fly through this. And it may tell us to reboot. Alright, so note that some standard Python modules are provided as separate ports as they require additional dependencies. They are in, and it gives you a list of those so you can get out of here. This package right here indicates this. This is the line that you would install. But we're not going to do that at this point. So that's through doing that, and it did not prompt us to restart. So I'm going to Control L to clear that screen. Right control to regain my mouse again. So we're going to install lxd on there. We just did the update and the upgrade. So now we're going to install some packages. And so that goes by pkg install. We're going to get xorg first. Then we're going to get lxde-meta or meta. And nano. Then we're going to get the lightdm and all the little goodies that go with that. gtk-greeter, and lightdm-settings. And we're going to go ahead and get some software, Firefox. We're going to go ahead and get sudo since it's not installed. And we're going to go ahead and get the virtual drivers that we're going to need. XF86-video-VMware. And this, at this point, installing this could actually create a problem for me. But I'm gonna take a chance because it did work. The majority of the time it does work. So I'm gonna go ahead and pretend that it's going to now. gnome-system-monitor. htop. Oh, I misspelled that, didn't I? No, I didn't. qbittorrent. That's we're gonna get Firefox. I'm gonna go ahead and get ffmpegthumbnailer. Oh, I made it 2 words. That didn't look right. ffmpegthumbnailer and neofetch. Keep it interesting. And why not get cmatrix? Now I'm going to use lightdm. You could actually use slim, and I think you could use the xenodm as well. I'm not sure, but I like lightdm. It gives me more customizations, I think. So I'm gonna hit enter here, and if everything is spelled right, and it's not, I'm gonna up arrow that back. I'm just gonna redo the whole word here. ffmpeg nailer with an O. Right, let's try that again. Nailer. I know it's in the repositories. I'm not spelling it right. Maybe it is a ER. How embarrassing it is. All right, I'm going to select yes for making this installation. I'm going to right control to get my mouse back. I'm going to make this an E. This is going to take a little while. It says it's going to use 2 gigabytes more space with 358 packages to download. Right now it's on 7 of 358. So let's go back over to their web page here. Like I said, this is DragonFlyBSD.org. This is their web homepage. You can find out all kind of stuff about Dragonfly BSD here. I found this install guide under the Dragonfly BSD handbook. Pointed this out before, but I pointed out here performing a simple install, which we just did. It says basically boot into it, type in installer, and follow the directions. All right, and then to get a desktop, in this Dragonfly docs as well. Here, if we scroll down after we've configured the X, we got Lumina, lxde, Windows Maker Window Manager, Mate, KDE, and XFCE4. And I'm going to click on lxde because that's what we're installing. And according to this, the only thing you have to do is install lxde-meta and put these 2 entries in your rc.conf file. Create a file called xinit in the home folder, xinitrc, and put in there exec startlxde. I've heard not too far past that LXD was basically it doesn't work anymore. It's not supported anymore. Well, somebody asked if LXDE did, and somebody in the Manjaro community said the Manjaro LXD Community Edition is using the GTK3 version, so not dead. And the LXDE edition has been released 20.2.1, referring to most of these posts 7 years ago. This was posted this year, 2021 of February. And if you go to their lxd.org, this is their homepage. One of the things I found interesting here, it says you click on get lxde, look at the source code, and this takes us to SourceForge page, and it brings you to the files. But if you click on the summary, lightweight X11 desktop, this environment, usable speed, this was 2 weeks ago and 1 month ago. So all these comments or what have you, 2 weeks ago. So it's not dead. Let's see what this says here. Parents, common, default config. So as recent as February and January and February, there's been updates. So somebody's paying attention to this LXDE desktop, and it's not dead. It's the wiki right here. Welcome to LXDE wiki. Tells you quite a bit about LXDEs. What it stands for. It stands for Lightweight X11 Desktop Environment. Lightweight X11 Desktop Environment. In 2013, LXDE developers launched a side project for a Qt port and tried to cooperate with RazorQt. The two projects later decided to merge and form lxde-qt, or Qt, which is acceptable in the Linux YouTube world. And what I'm saying is apparently LXDE is not dead. It's a great desktop. It's very minimal. If you're into the minimal type desktops, this is definitely the one for you. We're just now in the 90s of 358 packages. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back. Okay, we'll come back. It's just about finished here. It's extracting and installing all the software that we asked for. And we're at 349 of 358, so within seconds here. There we go. The ffmpegthumbnailer port currently does not have a maintainer. As a result, it is more likely to have unresolved issues and not be up to date. If we run across a bug, it tells you where to go to report that bug. Okay, we're good. I'm going to get my stuff back in here. Control L to clear that screen. Control to get back out of there so I can see what's next here. So we're going to modify our rc.conf file. And you'll notice it had the easy editor installed by default. We're going to make 4 entries here. First one is dbus _ enable equals in double quotes, capital yes, in double quotes. And we're going to enable HALD_enable equals yes on the hold. HALD mouse D, going to enable that equals yes. And I believe that's if you're on a laptop, that will work. Now we're going to enable our desktop manager. Double check my spelling here. dbus Alt D, lightdm, easy editor, hit the escape button. Leave the editor and save the changes. I'm going to Control L to clear that screen. Now we're going to edit. Actually, we're going to create and edit a folder called .xinitrc. Now this is going to be a hidden folder. And we're going to add exec startlxde. Escape. Leave the editor. Save the change. I want to Control L to clear that screen. We've created a file called xinitrc, and we've added the exec startlxde. So now we're going to edit and create. Did it again. A folder called, we're going to put this is going to be in your home folder, and it's .xsession. Hit enter, and again, exec startlxde. Escape. Leave the editor, save the changes. Control L, clear that screen. Alright, so this is right here, this next little thing is it's just a tweak of mine that I like to do. And we're going to edit our boot loader.conf. Then here, we are going to say auto boot underscore delay equals double quotes. I'm going to say 5 seconds or 5. Then escape, leave the editor, save the changes. Now we could do a couple things. We could just type in start X and lxd should start up, but we're going to go ahead and reboot. And actually I'm going to power off, so shut down now. And we're going to remove that ISO. Power off. Power off scene. I should have used a P, -P argument there. So let's go to DragonFly, the settings, go to storage, right click on the ISO, remove it, get it out of there, say OK. And let's restart our VirtualBox. See if we get a 5-second delay here. 5 seconds. Nice. So this should log us into lightdm, where we should sign into lxde. Very nice. Give it my password, enter. And I'm going to get out of scaled mode by Control C. We're going to do something about the resolution here. Preferences, monitor settings. I'm going to change this because we included the virtual drivers. There, that'll work. Say apply. Okay. And importantly here, click save. There we go. Right control, get my mouse out of there. Just over here. Now, back to lxde. Isn't that very pretty? I love this coloring. A couple things we need to do right off the bat. Let's see. Under system tools, the LX terminal, there's octopkg, there's htop that we asked for. Under system tools, we should see that system monitor. So we got htop and the system monitor. All right, leave them running here. Let's go find a terminal. We did install sudo, but it's not usable. So I'm going to sign in with the super user account, give it my root password. I'm going to say pkg update, and all of them are up to date. I'm going to say upgrade. Should all be good. So clear. So now let's add ourselves to some groups here. I'm going to say EE for easy editor /Etsy group. Hit enter. I'm already a member of the wheel group. We did that during the installation. I'm also going to be a member of the operator group. Frivolous as it may be, I still put myself in the game category. And staff, only separated by comma. And I think that's it. Now, if you install a webcam, you're going to need webcam D, and you'll make sure you add yourself to that. All right, so I'm good with those groups. I'm going to hit escape, leave the editor, save the changes. Now let's find out what groups Dennis is in. Dennis is in the Dennis group, the wheel group, operator, games, and staff. Very nice. So we've already run an update. Nothing left to do. All the rest of this is going to be up to you. octopkg, let's bring that up. Let's allow it. I'm going to click on this recycle image here. We're going to give it our root password. Let it say it finished with errors. Oh, I'm not a member of the sudoers. All right, so we're still signed in as root here. So I can just type in by sudo. Page down, page down. Oh, that's the bottom. And I'm going to go up here just under root. I'm going to hit I. Type in my name. And then we're going to give it some login credentials. Hit enter. All right. Now you can hit the escape key, colon. We're going to write it, and Q for quit. So hit enter. All right. No problem. Let me get out of root. Let me bring up another terminal. Control T does not do that. There's probably a key binding that does do it. System tools, bring that terminal back up. So now we should be able to go sudo pkg update, give it our password. Going to run it using sudo, and we're all up to date. Close this off. Since I was not signed in as root, just was able to close that. Let's go back to octopkg. Now that see what happens here, but give it the password and say okay, and it's going to synchronize the databases and then update any packages, which we just run it manually, so there should not be anything. Command finished. All right, so this is how you're going to look for stuff. This is how you look for stuff. Click on that folder right there. First of all, let me unclick that. Go to search. You can search by exact name, or you can search by description. So let's do this, the description. I'm going to click on the folder again, and let's just type in games. And let's find a game. I wonder why KPAT's not listed. Let me just look up KPAT. KPAT. There's KPAT. This game, it's just not listed in the. I'll install that. So that's how you use it. Unclick that. Now, when you check for, I got to install the KPAT, go ahead and click OK. It's going to ask me for a password again. Say OK, hit enter, or type in your password and hit enter. Now, all of these are indicated green here. These are all the programs that are installed. There's that ffmpegthumbnailer. If there was any updates available to any one of these, it would be indicated with a red mark on this green folder. And you can update one at a time, or you can update all of them at one time. Just trying to scroll through here real quick, see if I see anything red. We didn't get any return saying there was updates, so I'm assuming there's not. We get that terminal again. We asked for this during the initial install. There's neofetch, DragonFly BSD. Uname is the 5.8 release of DragonFly. Do that with an A. See a little more information. The release date, 10 Eastern 2020. There's the root. Testing. Generic. The DFH. Still downloading that game. See, there's my 12 gigabytes of swap that I give it. 8 gigabytes of RAM that I allocated, and there's 2 cores of the processor. You can see we got internet traffic. It is downloading, and so we're still downloading, and then we're going to install KPAT. Apparently, it's a lot bigger than I thought it was. The game, but there's a lot of games within that. Htop. We're using 1.3. While that's working, let's go to preferences, customize look and feel. And really, I'm surprised that lxde is not a more popular desktop environment, because it is very flexible. A lot of edits you can do. Change the color of your background, icon theme. Got Adwaita and a new old mouse cursors. We do got some mouse cursors. Windows border. Clear look olive. Citrus. Orange. This cray. Kind of like that one. I'm going to leave that right there. Click apply. Go to the font. Here's where you can change font and a few other options here. Show images on buttons, show images on menus, play event sounds. All right, I'm going to close that out. See what else we got in preferences here that we can look at. Desktop preferences. So here we have wallpaper changer, and this wallpaper comes in blue, green, and red, and I'm partial to the blue. All right. Desktop icons. Here you can show connected volumes on the desktop. I'm going to click that. Under Advanced, show menus provided by window managers when desktop is clicked. Use desktop as a folder. Well, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in here. I'm going to close the octopkg out. Go see here if we got, guess I clicked that button and not this one. We have a games category now. We have K-Patience. Click on Klondike. That's the solitaire game. I like it when it gives me a move, but you see it's working. Okay. And I think that's going to do it. That's lxde installed right over top of DragonFly BSD 6.0. A very viable desktop. I mean, I like it. I'm surprised I don't use it. If I would have known more about how to edit operating systems of Unix-like or Linux, either one, GNU Linux, I would have stumbled on this to start with, and this might have been my desktop of choice. But I've already made my decision on my desktop of choice. One more thing here. If you try to open up the lightdm greeter, it's not going to open up. You'll need a terminal. There's the terminal. So we'll say sudo, since I have sudo privileges now, and we're going to type in the lightdm-gtk-greeter-settings. And it's going to ask me for a password and then show up. lightdm. Oh. Always a spelling error. There we go. Very nice. See what we got installed by default. I like that new way to dark. Change it, put an image there if you wanted to. Color, or use wallpaper if available. That means this wallpaper here will show up. Click one on, see that. That's our new image, default user image. Going to change the position of the login itself. Say save and close. Now let me see if I can log out. Well, it's not using the wallpaper. It's just using the dark background. But that's because I probably did it wrong. There's lxde. Lightweight X11 desktop environment. Installed on FreeBSD. Terminal back up. Sudo shut down -p now. Ask me for my password. My mouse back. And that covers it. That was lxde. And that's gone. I appreciate you guys watching. Y'all have a great one. Peace out. Bye.